it would be.
Yeah. Well, this is the last I'm doing it because baseball got okay to practice as of today.
Oh, okay. So the beard violates a conduct code or something, or?
It does, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
baseball coaches shouldn't have beards, not in the middle of June.
Okay. I see Melissa. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
So,
I'm here too.
Joshua's here too.
Hi, Josh.
Hello.
evening.
Good. Hi, Tracy.
246, 262 Carlin Court, President Joe Carson Boulevard, Calhoun Township, Public Access for Lifting, 246, 262 Carlin Court, President.
Right. Well, I've got part of the sun out of there. I don't know why my video's failing here, but it's 7 o'clock and I think we should get started. So, I guess what we should do is post the agenda. Would you like to share?
Okay. Let's see here. There we go.
Very good. All right. All right, we're official. It's 7 o'clock, and we'll start off with the announcements. Due to the ongoing health concerns caused by COVID-19, this meeting is being held electronically on Zoom. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted on social media. All right. So, our consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the full consent agenda?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, the department reports. Christy, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, great. We received a lovely thank you letter from the Honeybrook Food Pantry, thanking the township for its contribution. You may have seen in the Tri-County last month that there was an article about how there was a 48% increase in people served in the 6-week period between mid-March and April 30. There were 1,545 people of 450 families in that time period. For both of the June distributions, they are inviting anyone in the Honeybrook area that needs food to call the food pantry to register and then to come collect food. And as of now, the Music Fest for August 8 is still on, but the golf outing originally scheduled for July has been rescheduled to Tuesday, October 13. The Honeybrook Community Partnership met via Zoom and chose 2 Twin Valley High School graduating seniors to each receive a $500 grant. And the recipients are Madison Rice and Tatiana Baloma. The annual conference for the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, also known and loved as PSATS, has gone virtual. And all 54 workshops that would have been presented May 4 and 5 in Hershey are now being offered as webinars through August 30. I know John has an unlimited pass, and I attended a webinar on Monday, and there still are individual webinar registrations available. The 2 webinars that I am presenting will be on July 30 with Louise Wenberg and August 10. PSATS also had a town hall webinar on June 4 talking about the short-term 5-month state budget that was passed, guidance for moving from the yellow to green phases and other interesting tidbits. There is a PDF of their PowerPoint if any board member is interested. I saved that. It was also recorded. The most interesting point I took away was that PennDOT has already announced that they expect a 10% decrease in liquid fuels funding for next year due to the recent slowdown in fuel purchases and lower fuel prices. So that brings me to the next point, which is that the census is ever important because liquid fuel monies depend on population as well as road mileage. As of this week, the response rate is pretty good for the township. Still not quite at the 2010 level, but above the rest of the average for the county. Let's see. The June 19 household hazardous waste collection has been canceled by the Solid Waste Authority. And 2 scheduled dates remain, one in August and one in October. We'll have to wait and see if those go through. Unfortunately, the raised bed garden really hasn't come together for this year. The new person who volunteered when the lockdown went into effect, she was still in Colorado, and I'm not even sure if she's back yet. They've already committed to kind of maintaining and weeding so that next spring we'll be ready to go again. And lastly, just a reminder that all township offices will be closed on Friday, July 3 in observance of Independence Day.
Okay, thank you, Christy.
And that's all I have. Mm-hmm.
Plus on that PSAT's town hall meeting, they discussed funding for the state police and was it Kerry Bernhoff? He was saying that he doesn't feel that it will go through this session. We've been hearing that for several years, but yeah, that's where that stands. All right, thank you for that summary, and we're now up to Rob Esposito for the Emergency Management Coordinator update. Rob, you up?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I was just looking on my phone here to try to get solid numbers for COVID cases, but I'll touch on a couple of things I do have here. It's the same number they had yesterday. I guess it hasn't updated. Okay, so since this started, myself and Deputy Morgan have worked nonstop with residents as well as the assisted living facilities in the township. We've filled 30-some resource requests from the assisted living facilities, and most of which are holding their own. There is one I'm trying to keep the tabs on because our cases continue to rise. Now, they've said point blank, the health department said that it's going to hit the nursing facilities for the foreseeable future harder than it does the general public. Now, that's kind of self-explanatory because they're stuck in the same building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Quite a few staff members have been affected from the local assisted living facilities, and I'm in contact with them just about weekly as far as resource requests, as well as I had a question about staffing, outside staffing requests, because they had so many people that were out due to COVID. They needed additional staffing, and I hooked them up with the right people. This is not something that's going to go away overnight, and I'd like to make the suggestion to the township supervisors to maybe consider putting some money away in escrow for when this, because they're projecting right now that this is going to multiply rapidly come, the fall. It's going to get, much more cases, and we're going to have a reflare. That being said, the fire department, as well as Elverson Honeybrook Area EMS, has spent countless amounts of money on additional personal protective equipment. And while FEMA is giving out money, let's face it, they're not going to have it tomorrow. So I'm going to make the suggestion that you put something away for the future of, in case this flares back up, we can kind of lighten the blow on them a little bit. I did talk to Glenn, Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator Morgan, who's also Lieutenant for Robertson Honeybrook Area EMS, who said they have spent almost $25,000 on personal protective equipment. And while they will eventually get reimbursed from HEMA, trying to make ends meet in the short time with that is kind of hard. So just something to think about for the future. With that, as of right now, just to give you an idea, Chester County has 2,364 confirmed cases and 245 deaths. While, we're not quite at Philly numbers, we're still, we're lower than Montgomery County, Delaware County as far as cases and deaths. And we're getting closer to, where Berks and Lancaster and York counties were as far as, cases. We're relatively low at the current moment. But, that could skyrocket once they hit the green zone and things open back up. So we just need to be cognizant of that because, there's a couple things that you got to keep in mind as far as, EMS is also, if they have an exposure, they have to have different providers come in because the providers that were just on were exposed, and then they have to go home for 14 days for quarantine, and then they're shelling out overtime as well. So it's not so much a supply issue as it is, a financial issue, having to shell out overtime when these providers do come in positive contact with patients. So just something to maybe keep in mind, maybe, $5,000-6,000 just stick away for the future for that funding. I know they would greatly appreciate monetarily because of, how things go. As far as COVID, we've spent countless hours in person, on the phone with the county. We've done all the county webinars. We've talked amongst ourselves, and this isn't something that's going to go away overnight. And just because we hit the green doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go away. We have to stay cognizant of this. We have to stay on the up and up. And, the form that we're in as far as a meeting may have to continue in this manner for the foreseeable future. I know of another municipality in the state that has said we are not having an in-person meeting for the rest of the year. So just something to think about as far as, everybody trying to play it safe and not transmit this stuff to, our loved ones. Additionally, I'd like to bring up to the board as far as sending myself and Deputy Morgan to the KEMA concert, the Keystone Emergency Management Agency conference, out in Pittsburgh. I don't know, it hasn't been canceled as of yet, but if it doesn't happen this year, we'll shoot for next year. I would really like to go. As far as, a hotel room and, meals and whatnot, definitely like to look into sending one of us, if not both. I don't know, with Glenn having a newborn in the house, if he's going to be able to take the time to go. As of right now, I'm going to try to shoot to go as far as work. But I'd like to put it out there that I would like to go, and, the expense of the hotel room and everything else, can fall on the township, and I will, we'll have a closed forum conversation as far as what that price is going to be, and see if the borough and the township can split it, since I am coordinator for both, and it's not fair to one municipality to pay for both or pay for, me to go. So, that being said, I'd just like to put that out there, and I can give some more information here in the coming months, because when I talked to Tony P. from the county, who is involved with KEMA, I said, what are we looking at as far as the conference? And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and went, I have no idea. And that's kind of where a lot of things are going right now. The county has canceled all fire classes, or all emergency services classes at the training center. All of the emergency management quarterly meetings have been placed on virtual, and they've pretty much said point blank that we may not see an in-person class for another year. And the big thing that they were talking about in our meeting the other day, time's flying here, last week I believe, the big thing that Bill Turner, the Director of Emergency Services, said was, we need to continue with status quo. Just because we have a pandemic doesn't mean that our emergency plans, need to lapse or anything like that. We still have other things to do, other things to deal with, other than a pandemic, which is a hard thing to think about, but just because there's a pandemic doesn't mean that business as usual can't continue, but it's going to be in different matters. So, with that, we've got emergency plans to reevaluate here that Glenn and I have to look at, because I believe we've had the same plan for quite a few years, which they're in, but we should probably revisit it, make sure it's up to date here, and go from there. So that's going to be in the coming months. That doesn't have to technically be resubmitted till October, and I've started looking over it. It's about 70 pages, so I'm just taking it one step at a time.
So some of the things I heard from you just now, a request for the township to escrow some money in the event that we would need it in the fall, recommended amount in the range of $5,000 or greater. There's a conference that you and Glenn would be interested in. We could work with the borough on whether we want to sponsor and share that cost. Finally, the point that you made of the preparedness going through our emergency management plan. And one other item I would throw in there, in the event that we do run into another lockdown or something like something may not be medical, but perhaps even a natural disaster, could discuss our plan of action so that we don't run into a problem. We make sure that we know about notifying the watch officer in the emergency center, and so that's a few action items I heard from you. Anything that I missed?
No, the watch officer thing is kind of, I've called them in the middle of the night. I've called them in the middle of the day, and I will say Chester County, second to none. I have friends in York County that have expressed that when they call their 911 center, they generally have told them somebody will call you back in a couple hours. We are very blessed in Chester County that all I have to do is pick up the phone and it goes right to somebody's cell phone, and I wake them up in the middle of the night if I have questions, concerns, something I don't know. We're very blessed with that in Chester County to have that resource.
All right. Just a question I'll throw out to everyone. Your feelings about our preparedness for another emergency situation. Travis and Tracy, do you feel that we could jump into another round like this and be prepared for it, or is it stuff that we should be addressing now?
I think maybe we should address some of it now just to be safe, because bad storms are going to be coming this summer. It seems like the way it already started with the way winds blowing and the weather. Who knows what's going to happen next week?
I could agree with Travis on that. I watch the weather constantly, and there's times I get up in the middle of the night and drive over the hill to go drive around and check Beaver Dam and Riddell where it floods, and a couple other known areas for flooding and trees down. Between myself and Glenn, we spend countless hours driving around doing just that. And on top of that, we've got to deal with a pandemic. So here we are.
Well, one last question on the regional EMS. Are we able to coordinate with the other participating municipalities, East, West Brandywine, and Calhoun Township? How's that working?
I have not heard anything from the region in a while. I don't know what the status of that is. Things kind of fell apart. There's been some issues in the past as far as scheduling and myself, and prior not having a deputy that was willing to go to the meetings. Glenn